The secret to winning friends, influencing people, and building a life full of opportunities has been out there for decades. The secret's so powerful that millions of people have already used it to change their lives forever. Sounds too good to be true? Well, it's not, and here's the best part. You don't need fancy degrees or a silver tongue to unlock this power. It's all about learning a few simple principles from one man, Dale Carnegie. Now you might be thinking, who is Dale Carnegie, and why should I care about what he has to say? Here's why. Dale Carnegie is a name that's been shaping personal growth and success stories since the early 20th century. His book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is a bestseller used much like a manual by presidents, CEOs, general managers, and everyday people for several decades to thrive in life. And even though it was written almost a century ago, its lessons are just as powerful and useful today, maybe even more so. In today's world where digital connections dominate, where everyone seems to be shouting to be heard, and where building trust feels harder than ever, Carnegie's wisdom cuts through the noise. His principles are like a compass, guiding you toward meaningful relationships, greater confidence, and the kind of success that doesn't just fill your wallet, but your soul too. So, if you're ready to level up your communication, confidence, and connections, then stay tuned and listen closely till the end. 1. The foundation. Build genuine connections. Let's start with one of Dale Carnegie's most famous ideas. You can make more friends in 2 months by being interested in other people than in 2 years by trying to get people interested in you. Sounds simple, right? But think about it. How often do we focus on making others feel important rather than talking about ourselves? Here's the truth. People love to feel seen, heard, and valued. Carnegie believed the key to building genuine connections is to show interest in others, not fake interest, but real, heartfelt curiosity. This means listening more than you talk. It means asking questions, not just to fill the silence, but because you truly want to understand their story. Let's break it down with a practical example. Imagine you're meeting someone new, maybe at work, school, or even a social event. Instead of jumping in with stories about yourself, try asking questions like, what do you enjoy most about your work? Or, what inspired you to pursue that hobby? These kinds of open-ended questions encourage others to share more and feel appreciated. But it doesn't stop there. Carnegie also emphasized the importance of remembering people's names. Think about how good it feels when someone remembers your name, even if you've only met them once. It's a small gesture, but it shows that you care. And in today's world, this advice is more important than ever. Whether it's connecting with someone in person or online, people are quick to notice if your interest is genuine or if you're just going through the motions. So take a moment to really focus on the person in front of you. Listen to their words, pick up on what excites them, and show you care. That's how you build trust, and trust is the foundation of every strong relationship. 2. The power of empathy and understanding. Another one of Dale Carnegie's gems is this: try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. This advice is so simple, but it can completely change how you deal with people. Think about a time when you had a disagreement with someone. Maybe it was with a friend, a family member, or even a coworker. When emotions run high, it's easy to get stuck in your own perspective and focus on proving your point. But Carnegie teaches us something different. If you want to resolve conflicts, you need to step into the other person's shoes. Because understanding where someone else is coming from helps you find common ground. It doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but it shows that you respect their feelings and opinions. And when people feel respected, they're more likely to open up and work with you toward a solution. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine you're working on a group project, and one of your teammates is upset because they think their ideas aren't being heard. Instead of arguing or brushing it off, try saying something like, "I can see that you're frustrated. Can you tell me more about what's on your mind?" That one question can completely shift the dynamic. Suddenly they feel understood, and the tension starts to ease. Empathy isn't just about resolving disagreements, though. It's about building stronger relationships overall. It's about making people feel valued, even when you don't see eye to eye. And in today's fast-paced world, empathy can be your secret superpower. Whether it's in your personal life or your career, the ability to see the world through someone else's eyes will set you apart. So next time you're in a tough situation, remember this: pause, take a deep breath, and try to see things from the other person's perspective. It might not be easy, but it's worth it. Because when you lead with empathy, you're not just solving problems, you're building bridges. And those bridges can lead to some amazing places. 3. Inspire without criticism. Now let's talk about one of Dale Carnegie's most powerful insights. Criticism is futile because it puts a person on the defensive. Think about that for a second. How do you feel when someone criticizes you? Most of us get defensive or hurt, and it doesn't really inspire us to do better, does it? Carnegie believed that criticism rarely leads to positive change. Instead, it creates resentment. He taught that if you want to influence or inspire someone, the best way to do it is through encouragement, not judgment. In other words, instead of tearing someone down, build them up. Let's look at an example. Imagine a friend or colleague has made a mistake. Maybe they missed an important deadline or didn't deliver the results you were expecting. Your first reaction might be to point out what they did wrong, but instead of saying, "You really messed this up, try this. I know this didn't turn out as planned, but I appreciate the effort you put in. Let's look at how we can improve next time." See the difference? The second approach focuses on solutions and motivates the other person without making them feel small. Now, this doesn't mean you should avoid tough conversations. It just means that how you say something matters. When you focus on encouragement and solutions instead of blame, you're more likely to get a positive response and keep the relationship strong. And let's not forget, this principle isn't just for big situations. It applies to everyday life too. Whether it's giving feedback to a friend, correcting a sibling, or even commenting online, think about the impact your words will have. A little kindness and understanding can go a long way. The bottom line, if you want to inspire others to grow, ditch the criticism and offer a helping hand instead. People will remember how you made them feel, and that's what truly matters. 4. The secret to persuasion. Now, here's a principle that can change the way you interact with people forever. Let the other person feel that the idea is theirs. Sounds simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Why? Because people are much more likely to embrace an idea when they feel like they came up with it themselves. Let's break this down. Imagine you're trying to convince someone to try something new, maybe a friend to join you on a fitness journey, or a coworker to approach a project differently. Instead of saying, "Here's what you need to do," try guiding the conversation so they come to the conclusion on their own. For example, you could say, "What do you think would be the best way to tackle this?" Or, "What would you like to achieve?" These kinds of questions put them in the driver's seat. Carnegie believed that persuasion isn't about force, it's about collaboration. When you make people feel involved, they're not just agreeing to your idea, they're owning it. And that sense of ownership makes all the difference. This principle works everywhere, at work, at home, even in casual conversations. For instance, if you're negotiating with your parents about staying out late, instead of arguing, you could say, "What would make you feel comfortable about this?" It shifts the tone of the conversation and shows you're willing to meet them halfway. And here's another tip. Storytelling is one of the best ways to persuade without being pushy. Carnegie often used stories to illustrate his points because they allow people to see themselves in the situation. So next time you're trying to convince someone, try sharing an example or a personal story that helps them connect to the idea emotionally. Remember, persuasion isn't about getting people to do what you want. It's about guiding them to see why it's the right choice for them. When you master this skill, you'll not only get better results, you'll also build stronger, more cooperative relationships. And that's a win-win. 5. Gratitude and positive reinforcement. Let's talk about something we often overlook: gratitude and praise. Carnegie said, "Be hearty in your approbation and lavish in your praise." In plain English, don't hold back when it comes to appreciating others. Why? Because people thrive on feeling valued. Think about how you feel when someone genuinely compliments you. Maybe a friend says, "I really admire how hardworking you are," or a teacher tells you, "You did an amazing job on that project." Doesn't it make you feel good? That's the power of positive reinforcement. It motivates, it builds confidence, and it strengthens relationships. Carnegie believed that if you want to inspire people or bring out the best in them, you need to acknowledge their efforts and show your appreciation. And the key here is to be genuine. Don't throw around empty compliments. People can see right through those. Instead, focus on specific things that you truly admire about someone. For example, instead of just saying, "Great job, try, I'm so impressed by how much thought you put into this. It really made a difference." See how that feels more meaningful? It shows the other person that you're paying attention and that their efforts matter. Gratitude isn't just about praising others though, it's also about appreciating what you have. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to focus on what's missing or what's going wrong. But taking a moment to reflect on what's going right can shift your mindset completely. Maybe it's as simple as being grateful for a supportive friend, a sunny day, or a small win at work. When you practice gratitude regularly, it makes you more positive and resilient, and that positivity spreads to the people around you. So here's a challenge. Take a moment today to show appreciation for someone. Send a text, leave a note, or simply say, "Thank you." You might be surprised at how far a little gratitude can go in making someone's day and your own. 6. The fear factor, overcoming self-doubt. Let's face it, fear and self-doubt are things we all struggle with. Whether it's fear of failure, fear of rejection, or just the fear of stepping out of your comfort zone, it's something that can hold you back from reaching your potential. Carnegie had something important to say about this: develop success from failures. Discouragement and failure are two of the surest stepping stones to success. Now, that might sound strange at first. How can failure lead to success? The answer is simple. Failure teaches you what doesn't work. It gives you lessons that success never could. But here's the catch. You have to embrace those lessons instead of letting failures stop you in your tracks. Think about it this way. Imagine you're trying to learn how to ride a bike. You're going to fall a few times, maybe scrape your knees, and feel frustrated. But every fall teaches you something: how to balance, how to steer, how to keep going even when you wobble. That's exactly how life works. Every time you fail, you're learning how to get better. Carnegie believed that overcoming self-doubt starts with action. If you're afraid to try something, don't let that fear paralyze you. Start small, take one step, and build from there. For example, if you're nervous about public speaking, start by practicing in front of a friend or recording yourself. Each small win will build your confidence and chip away at that fear. And here's another tip: prepare. Confidence often comes from knowing you've done the work. If you're prepared, you'll feel more equipped to face challenges, and fear won't seem so overwhelming. Remember, fear and failure are part of the journey. They're not signs that you should stop, they're signs that you're growing. So the next time you face a setback, remind yourself that it's just a stepping stone on the path to success. Keep going, you're stronger than you think. 7. The power of owning your mistakes and making ideas unforgettable. Nobody likes to be wrong. It's uncomfortable, it can feel embarrassing. But here's the truth: owning your mistakes makes you stronger, not weaker. Dale Carnegie understood something most people don't. When you admit your own mistakes first, you take away their power. Instead of waiting for someone else to call you out or defend yourself with excuses, you take control of the situation. Think about it. Have you ever seen someone desperately trying to justify a mistake? It's painful to watch. They get defensive. They shift the blame. They dig a hole so deep they can't climb out. But when someone admits their mistake right away without excuses, it's refreshing. It makes them look honest, mature, and even confident. Carnegie believed that the fastest way to earn respect is to say, "I was wrong." Not, "I was wrong," but just, "I was wrong." Simple, direct, no defensiveness. People are far more forgiving than we expect. In fact, they often admire those who have the courage to own up to their flaws. And here's the magic: when you admit your mistakes first, others are more likely to do the same. It breaks the tension. It turns potential arguments into real conversations. It creates an environment where growth is possible. But Carnegie didn't stop there. He understood another important truth: facts alone don't change minds, stories do. How many times have you heard a fact, nodded your head, and then forgotten it completely? But when you hear a great story, it sticks. That's because the human brain isn't wired for information, it's wired for emotion. Carnegie knew that if you want to persuade, inspire, or lead, you need to dramatize your ideas. Not in a fake or exaggerated way, but in a way that makes people feel something. He once told the story of a department store that was struggling with slow-moving products. The manager could have sent out a simple memo: "We need to sell more shoes." But instead, he brought all the employees together and placed two large piles of shoes in front of them. One was a mountain of unsold inventory, the other a small stack representing what they had sold that week. Then he asked a simple question: "Which pile do you think the boss wants to see?" It was a dramatic way to make a point, and it worked. Sales increased, not because of a dry report, but because the employees saw the problem with their own eyes. That's the power of dramatization. Instead of dumping information on people, make them feel it. Show them the stakes. Paint a picture that sticks in their mind. Carnegie's wisdom is timeless. Own your mistakes. Make your ideas unforgettable. Do these two things, and you'll gain something money can't buy: influence, respect, and trust. Let's recap Dale Carnegie's timeless wisdom. It's simple but life-changing. We've talked about the power of showing genuine interest in others, seeing things from their point of view, inspiring without criticism, owning your mistakes, and even overcoming self-doubt. These principles aren't just ideas, they're tools you can use every day to create a better life for yourself and the people around you. But knowing these principles isn't enough. The real magic happens when you start putting them into practice. So let me ask you, what's one lesson you've learned today that you can start using right now? Maybe it's listening more intently to the people in your life, showing gratitude, or taking one small step to face a fear. Whatever it is, I challenge you to try it. Take action today, even if it's just something small. Small steps lead to big changes. Think about this. Life is about connections. The relationships you build and the way you interact with others shape your journey more than anything else. Dale Carnegie knew this, and that's why his wisdom has stood the test of time. If you can master these principles, you're not just setting yourself up for success, you're creating a life full of meaning, trust, and growth. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. Carnegie once said, "Happiness doesn't depend on any external conditions, it is governed by our mental attitude." In other words, how you see the world and how you choose to show up each day matters. The way you treat people, the way you handle challenges, and the way you stay curious and open-minded, those are the things that define a fulfilling life. So as you go about your day, remember that you have the power to make a difference, not just in your own life, but in the lives of those around you. It all starts with the small, intentional choices you make every single day. You've got the tools now, it's time to use them. If you made it this far, thank you for being awesome. Remember to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more awesome videos. See you in the next video.